my thoughts on the new season of Cosmos. I already watched the first episode, but I was having some thoughts at the beginning of the second one. Um, Neil deGrasse Tyson is like my one of my top three heroes, like favorite people in the world type of thing, and I admire how well he gathers and holds on to knowledge for so many different things. And but I also don't really, I mean, I get why he is the way he is as far as being optimistic about the future, but I also wish there were more people who were more pragmatic about it. Um, he was mentioning, like, where will the human race be in 100 million years? And I'm like, it just made me laugh because, I mean, the way the world is right now kind of indicates that we're more than likely there won't be a human race for much longer. Um, I mean, there's a chance some people might get off the planet before that, but like, I don't think we're going to be advanced enough because at this point we're regressing like crazy right now. And I don't think we're going to be advanced enough at that point for them to survive much longer off the planet. Um, but there was a point not that long ago in the universe's or even this galaxy's history where humans didn't exist. And there will be a point again where humans don't exist. And it honestly doesn't bother me because I've realized more and more over the last several years that the more I learn about the world and about people and how selfish and greedy and apathetic most people are, um, the more I think, like, plus the way humans are destroying the planet, even though I think the majority of us would prefer not to be and would prefer to have been given a life where it was an option to not be destroying the planet. But for the most part, in developed countries, most of us don't have that option. I mean, we can try, but it's not like, even if half of us decided to try real hard, like, it's not like that would save the planet. Um, and I think that overall, the human race is more like a cancer on the planet, and the planet is starting to fight back. And it's just really, I have a more cynical attitude because of, my overall situation, my overall life situation just getting worse every day almost. And like, seeing the way people don't give a shit, I guess, is just um, makes me cynical because I didn't used to be like this, but after being brought back from, basically dying twice and having seen my life get vastly worse each time and not having any way to do anything about it at this point is just makes me what am I have to be positive or optimistic about? I mean, I'm watching the world fall apart right now because of this virus thing. And I had it hard enough before this, but now it's like gotten to the point where I don't think I can do it much longer. And I honestly, after seeing Greta Thunberg do more than almost anybody has to try and save the planet, and having it make almost no difference is kind of defeating. Like, it's making me feel more helpless. And then watching this primary election cycle go by, where once again the progressives and Bernie were basically screwed out of the election. And they did everything. The establishment, Republicans, and, the Democrat in name only people did everything in their power to stop him from winning. And of course, they succeeded because it's like David and Goliath, but without the religious bullshit behind it. So it's like literally a hopeless situation, and nobody's there to save or have the good guys win in the end. So unless something happens where Biden gets unable to run anymore, something happens, I don't know, he's in pretty bad health already, and we are somehow allowed to elect Bernie in his place, because obviously they were the only two front runners for the last few months or so, and um, with the election being dragged out a little more because of what's going on, Bernie so far is in good health, but I'm really, really, really concerned with um, him being out in public so much right now because of, he could easily get sick and he's pretty old. And I'm pretty sure if we lost Bernie right now, that would pretty much wipe out any hope that most of us have left. And at this point, if this were a movie or a game, like, it's gotten beyond the point where we could turn around and win, or we could turn around and save the planet. Like, it's gotten to the point where we could lessen the damage and we can maybe extend the agony that we're going to go through before the planet wipes us out or something. But it's like almost impossible at this point that we're going to, you know, have any kind of a progressive president right now. It's more than likely that they're going to pick if something happens to Biden, that they're going to just pick somebody else who's an establishment to take his place, because it's, from what I've heard on TYT, that's actually something they can do. Even though it makes no sense because we all voted for Bernie, and Bernie's the only, like, anywhere near like the top of the top two. Like, the third place nominee was not anywhere near Bernie and Biden. So they were really the only two that we have to choose from. And for some stupid fucking reason, everybody's voting for Biden. But then again, like, they made it almost impossible for, like, for one thing, California still hasn't counted their last 25% of their ballots. 25%, that's a big amount. And there's like 3 of the last primary states have postponed because of the virus thing. So they're not counted yet. They haven't voted yet. There's a few states that are still taking mail-in ballots because of this, and I guess there's a possibility that Bernie can still win, but the way that people have been voting, it's highly unlikely. And I don't know if it's just because, I'm pretty sure, just like last time around in 2016, we're going to find out what the DNC did to rig the election again, because last time around they admitted to, voter fraud and election fraud and all this other crap. After the fact, of course, long after the fact. And of course, nobody wanted to do anything about it, so it's happening again. And there have been cases where they wiped out a third of the voting polls and people had to try even harder to get to one and then wait even longer to vote. And then they held the primaries, last primary, which was a couple, like 2 weeks ago or something, even though just days before that, the government issued a lockdown thing where you only go out if it's mandatory. And then they held the election in anyway, even though half the states opted to postpone it. They still, Florida and 2 of the other states, I can't remember right now, just went ahead with it. So, of course, I think Bernie only won one of like 3 or 4 states, and it wasn't one of the really good ones. So I'm not for sure. Like, I'm pretty sure he's got very little chance of winning right now. And at this point, I don't think I can handle going another 4 years like this, if my heart even can, let alone my, emotional mental state. I don't think I can handle it. So right now I'm just sitting here, like, trying to come up with money again, because, I'm literally haven't even opened my last 2 power bills, because the last one I got last week was a shutoff notice, and I just can't open it because I'll just have a panic attack and still not be able to pay it, whether I open it or not. So I see no point right now, because I'm already barely surviving, and if there's no way for me to come up with that money, then that's it for me. Like, if I lose my power, I can't survive that. With my symptoms, I need to be able to communicate with people and contact people and have any form of distraction whatsoever. Um, that'll keep me from going crazy, because, like, everybody's obviously talking about sitting at home and binging things, watching things, playing movies, whatever. That's what people are doing right now because they're so bored. Some YouTubers are just churning out videos, and I wish I could do that, and I'll probably try to make a couple videos as soon as possible. Um, but right now I'm just trying to do an audio update because I originally was just going to comment on Cosmos, but I wanted to do an update anyway, and I'm not sure I'll be able to do a video today or tomorrow, so I'm just going to put it on here. But, like, the only things I kind of require to be able to keep going right now are electricity, obviously, with my crappy apartment I'm living in. I need electricity and the internet, which right now I don't even have my own internet. I'm just using like an office connection, which is 1 bar or something. Um, so I can barely like upload a video over the course of days because it's that slow. Um, and then I need my medicine and food. And basically that's all I require to keep surviving, and I can't even have that. Like, I can't even make sure that I have the medicine and food I need plus electricity because I can't afford both. Like, once I get my medicine covered and my rent covered and my little crappy prepaid phone covered, which is the only other payment I have, like, I don't have car, I don't have cable TV or ATV at all. I don't have, my own internet. The only thing I'm paying is prepaid phone, rent, medicine, and then consumers I would be paying if I could afford it. But basically, I might have $50 a month towards it if I cut my groceries and toiletries down even more, which I really can't because I'm already on like the bare minimum of what I need. And I'm living on like $3 a day for groceries. So, like, I'm not living it up or anything. I'm like in the bottom 5 or 10% of the country right now. And it's just so, I keep asking, how much worse does it have to get? How much more do I have to go through? How many more years do I have to exist like this before I'm allowed to have any chance at all, let alone any support at all for transportation that would allow me to not only start making money so I can pay my bills, but get myself places so I don't have to keep begging for a ride. From now, my only option is my 74-year-old grandma who's still out there at her shop that she owns in town, even though our state has a lockdown quarantine order where she's not supposed to be at work. And if she gets sick, she's probably not going to make it. And if she does make it, she's going to be permanently disabled for whatever life she has left. And right now, she's literally the only person in my family who makes sure I have clean water to drink and clean clothes and, a ride to my doctor appointment that I am mandated to go to every month. And if anything happens to her, that's it. I don't have any transportation. Nobody cares if I have transportation. I have a mother that lives across the road who, no matter how much I begged and begged and begged for at the time, for like a year, 2 years, 3 years, she still got rid of her vehicle. And rather than let me take it and have it fixed because it just needed one thing fixed and I could have probably saved up or raised enough up to fix it and then have a vehicle, she decided to just have it towed and take the $200 they gave her for it. And that was it. Now I'm down to just my grandma. And my mom literally would not discuss with me what my options are. And I said, if you do this, grandma's going to be my only option. And not only is it not fair for you to do that to her because it's my dad's mom, and she's like constantly running for 6 days a week when she's not working. She's cleaning her house and cooking for her husband, and she's like, she never stops running. And she has to help me out because my mom won't, and the rest of my family won't. And They just prefer to act like I don't exist. And it's just gotten to the point where I don't understand why they would rather go through this. Like, my grandma could easily help me get a vehicle too, besides the fact that her and her husband, who is retired and lives, just sits at home and plays and breeds his, I don't even, Bichon Frise or whatever the frick they're called, dogs that he breeds like relentlessly until she has puppies like every couple months or however frequently they can have puppies. And they sell those for $200-300 a piece. I don't even know. And they make a shit ton of money doing that, but that's like all he does. He does gardening a little bit. But like, they have a really nice luxury sedan car, luxury SUV car or whatever. And it's newish. It's like a couple years old maybe. But then she also has a red beater SUV that's like 10 or 12 years old. And I don't get, like, if she wanted to, she could just let me use that car, that old one, and they could easily get by with that new one that they have. And I think he still has a pickup truck, or he did last I knew. But they live in their, they own a house outside of town. They live on their own land, and they're not hurting at all. So, like, I don't get why, you know, she knows my mom is a deadbeat. My mom doesn't give a fuck about me. She only gives a fuck about herself and doesn't care if my grandma is stuck with taking care of me the way a mother should because she doesn't want to. But, like, I don't understand why, you know, my grandma and my dad could talk about it together and actually get me in a vehicle in that shitty SUV. I would be more than happy with that. And I'd be willing to pay whatever. I might need help for the first month, maybe 2 months with whatever car payment they have, but if there even is one, for whatever insurance or whatever, because they keep their only excuse that I ever hear from anybody, whenever I try to make an argument for a vehicle, is, oh, well, you can't even afford your bills now. How are you going to afford gas and insurance? I'm like, yeah, I can't afford my bills now. And do you have a suggestion on how I can afford my bills now if I can't get a job or start making money with a vehicle? Because I can't make money without a vehicle. I live in a small town where nothing is around here. And if I wanted to, I already had a business plan laid out for years and years and years now. I've been trying to make an argument since medical cannabis was legalized here that I could easily be making shit tons of money if I was allowed to start delivering edibles. Because I have been making them for over 10 years. I can make custom orders. I can deliver them to patients. I can make a shit ton of money. Nobody's doing that around here yet. Even now yet. But we just legalized it like 6 months ago. And like recreationally. So now I could literally deliver it to anybody. And I could be raking in the money right now. But nobody will listen to me because they all think it's a joke. They all think my grandma is actually anti-weed. She's one of those people who still believes everything the government said back in the 50s and 60s and still thinks it's an option that I am choosing to get and not a medication that is keeping me out of the ICU and keeping me alive. Because if I did not have that medication that I have to use every day, at least 5 times a day, or I would not be able to survive, is keeping me from, if I didn't have it, I'd be in the ICU for a very short period of time before I died. So it means a lot to me, and it hurts me that they still, after watching me die twice, after watching my kidneys completely fail and my heart completely fail, and watching me have this freaking pain meds for the last 23 years of my life that I've constantly had problems with because the doctors don't want to give me more than a mild dose, and I can't even function unless, on that dose because it's so tiny. It's ridiculous. My mom gets more than that, and she hasn't even had back surgeries or she just recently had kidney failure when she was in the hospital last month. But before that, she's been on 3 times the amount of pain meds I was on for 10 years. And I've been through 8 failed back surgeries and had a machine put in my chest and had kidney failure and had, I have this severe, severe jaw problem that's literally causes 20 to 30% of people who have it to kill themselves because it's so painful. You can look it up. It's called trigeminal neuralgia. And I have like other jaw problems and a crap ton of stomach problems, and every joint in my body is constantly dislocating, and my skin's always burning, and I'm always having seizures at night. And it's like I have MS. I have a dozen and a half chronic and terminal illnesses, and my family just wants to act like if I'm not in the ICU, I must be fine. Or if I'm doing really, really, really badly, it's because I'm not religious enough, I'm not godly enough, and I'm not praying enough. I'm not praying hard enough. Like I didn't waste 20 some odd years of my life doing that already. And it did me a lot of good because it just kept going downhill from the day I was born. So, you know, when does a break come? I have no idea because my heart has already failed twice waiting for a break to come. And I'm one of those people who says bullshit about the it'll eventually get better crap because it doesn't eventually get better for me. It's getting worse and 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 worse for my entire life. And I don't remember, other than the 18 months, give or take, that I had of relative pain control after my second out of 8 back surgeries. That was the only time it got better, and it was only for about a year and a half. And I worked at McDonald's, and I lost a ton of weight, and I had a life for that short period of time that I would give anything to go back to, because literally 16 to 17 years old is when I had the only time I had a relatively normal life. And I'd give anything to have that again because that's the only time I knew anything other than the hospitals and Walmart and the inside of this toxic lab rat cage that I've been in for 11 years now. Like, it's driving me crazy. Obviously, you can tell that because of the way I talk. But when you go from being a brainwashed, religious, sheltered person who's being used by their mother to get money and sympathy, and then gets ditched by them, and then ends up having everything just go to shit after that and have nobody give a crap. And then you go to, after that, I got rid of my TV. I had my near-death experiences, so I realized that religion and afterlife and God is all bullshit. And I started learning about what is not on TV, which is everything, and what is actually happening in the world, and what religion is, and how it was just created to control people. And you just start learning everything from like 2014 and on. I just started learning everything about the world, everything about religion, everything about politics, and it was a lot to frickin' take. But that's what changed me, I think, from being a stupid, ditzy, religious, head in the clouds, sheltered, ignorant person to now knowing what's going on and knowing what's going to happen and seeing it happen and not being able to do a damn thing about it, and having had no positive experiences since I was 18 years old. I literally have had no positive experiences, no concerts, no conventions, no rallies, no nothing. I get to sit here every year and watch all these events come and go within an hour of where I live, and I would literally cut off 2 of my left toes to be able to go experience one of those things, and I never, ever, ever get to. I spend so much time begging and pleading and trying to get a ride online and trying to get tickets and trying to, get somebody to pick me up. I'm willing to pay gas. I'm willing to trade for something. I don't know, whatever it takes. Pick something out of my apartment and take me with you so I can experience something other than this. Because when you're a teenager and a young adult and you get to do nothing but sit there and watch the world go by and watch everything happen and watch life, once in a lifetime experiences come and go within an hour of where you fucking live, and there's nothing you can do about it but sit there and you don't get to meet anybody, and you don't get to have any fun, and you don't get to fall in love, and you don't get to be loved and appreciated, and you're nothing to your entire family but a lab rat and a stray dog and a nuisance and a drain on the system, and you don't get to prove anything about what you can do or who you could be or anything. I mean, imagine that, because my family can't. My family is so apathetic that they cannot even imagine what it's like to be anybody but themselves for 1 second. They can't even think for 1 second what it would be like to be me, let alone to be any of the other people in the world who are going through hell. And for some reason, I have all the empathy that nobody else in my family has just in me. Like, I got all the empathy. I also got all the, you know, illnesses and diseases and pain and everything that everybody in the family, some people have it, but I also got shit that none of them have. So I got like everything and then some. And to be, having gone through what I did with my teeth for the last 3 years, being 30 to current age, with having your teeth pulled slowly until you have no teeth, and then having to go 2 years with no teeth, and having your jaw completely deform because of that, and looking like a freaking meth head, like a 60-year-old meth head at age 35. Imagine that. I mean, I have no reason to think I'm not in hell, even though I don't believe in it anymore. But when this is what I've gone through for so long, and it just keeps getting worse, and it's obviously going to keep getting worse because of what's happening in the world and in this country, and all I can do is sit here and watch it and just wait and hope that it eventually ends. Like, I don't have to keep waking up and going through this every day, because there's no end in sight. And I can't do anything about it. All I can do is sit here and beg people who keep throwing money, by the way, at millionaire corporations and at giant YouTubers who make shit tons of money already. They keep making shit tons of money, and when they need to make more than shit tons of money, they can make more than shit tons of money, because all they have to do is say, hey, we need more now because of what's happening. Now we need to raise another 500,000. So they just get it. Some people throw it at them. But no matter what I do, I know I can't do much, and I know I can't produce better content like this because of my health, and because of my mental state, and because I can't afford any fucking better technology or better hardware. So this is all I've got. But like, they have no problems making money and begging for money and raising money. And all I would need to be able to at least alleviate this endless planet of weight on my shoulders is $150 a month from 20, 30 people. That wouldn't be a lot, and I hate having to beg for it, but I've already done everything I can to make money, and I'm out of options. So until I can get a fucking vehicle of some kind, there's nothing else I can do. I'm literally sitting here going hungrier than I did before, and going without medicine that I need, and wishing for death because I'm going without medicine that I need, and I feel like shit all the time. And I'm tired of it. I've been tired of it. I ran out of thread a long time ago. My last straw was on the camel's back that broke 5 years ago. That's why I had heart failure. Like, when you wake up after dying the second time and your life is so much worse that you're like, okay, this is obviously not reality anymore. I'm in hell. And every day it feels more and more like not reality. It's what do people expect of me? I just don't know what people expect of me, because nobody will answer me. My own family won't answer me when I say, what do you expect of me and what am I supposed to do? Because the only people who answered me a couple of times years ago, telling me basically in no uncertain terms that you either stop paying so much for your medicine and start paying for this shithole lab rat cage that you don't even want to live in, or you're just going to end up in the hospital or dead. Because, that's what fathers and grandmothers tell their children and grandchildren, that, especially terminally ill ones, that you're supposed to live on $700 a month, and if you can't because your medicine costs half your income, then that's your fault for deciding to buy your medicine. And that's the end of it. No discussion. Like, where was that discussion when my sister got in her third DUI wreck and somebody bailed her out and helped her get her car fixed or got a new used car or whatever? Where was that discussion then, when she was irresponsible enough to mooch off of whoever she could pick up at the bar and live with them and street race her car for 10 years and make money sucking guys off in the cab or whatever she did for so long? No discussion there. No discussion with my cousin who destroyed her entire life for meth and ended up with nothing to her name because she sold it all for meth. Where was the discussion when her uncle, my uncle, her uncle, not her father, helped her get a vehicle and get an apartment and go to college? Where was the discussion for her? Nobody can tell me what I'm doing wrong other than deciding to pay for my medicine ahead of my electric bill because I have to survive somehow. And that's what's keeping me alive. So apparently they're literally willing to watch me lose my power and then be evicted and then die from being evicted and being on the streets. Because if I had a vehicle to live in, I wouldn't even be here at this point. I'd be living in a state where I could actually afford to live, by my decision, like it should be when you're an adult. When I decided years and years and years ago I didn't want to live here anymore, it doesn't matter because it wasn't my choice. I don't get to decide that. Like, it's ridiculous. I have had no control over my future or my life getting better for my entire existence, and I would love to know what it's like before I die. What it's like to say, you know what, I want to go somewhere. I want to go to that event that I've been dying to go to for 10 years. I want to go to that convention or I want to go see that movie. To be able to decide that and just go do it. I don't know what that's like. And I'm sorry if that sounds selfish, that I would love to know what that's like before I die, but that's how it is. And I'm just sick and tired of sitting here, having my dreams go from when I was 18 years old, dreaming of living in California and being a writer of books, memoirs, whatever, scripts, whatever I could write, to, I don't care what I am. I don't care if I never get a job as long as I can go live in California, even if it's in an RV or something, to, okay, well, maybe I won't live in California because California is falling apart and burning to the ground. So maybe at least I'll get to move to a state where the weather's better and I can meet people and I'm still willing to live in an RV, to, when I was like moving into this place back in my boring, shitty little hometown where I don't know anybody and I don't want to know anybody, to, dreaming that I could just have a vehicle so I can go have some fun and meet people before I die. Now it's like, okay, I'm willing to live in literally anything. I don't care if it's a little ditzy, shitty little car. I'll figure it out and live in it somehow. But I need to get out of here. And it's been like that for about 8 years. And then after my second heart failure, it was like, okay, I will leave everything behind. And I will hitchhike out of here. If I was healthy enough to, I would be hitchhiking out of here. But with my temperature sensitivity setting off a lot of my symptoms and my chronic pain not being able to handle being cold and, not being able to handle walking that far and whatever, that's all that's stopping me. And like a couple years ago, I was willing to start doing that, actually, hitchhiking out of here. But then I started having to have my teeth pulled, and I didn't know that was going to take 3 years, or I wouldn't have even started it, because they told me it would take 6 months, and then they dragged their heels and kept postponing my appointments and doing 1 or 2 teeth at a time because my health symptoms wouldn't let me do more than that. But like, it's been 3 years and I don't have any teeth and I can't do on-camera videos and I can't get my fucking videos done before I die. I have a massive list of videos I wanted to get done. And just get my story out there and maybe have enough subscribers that I can feel comfortable knowing that my story's out there, because at this point there might be 5 people who actually watch my videos and I don't even know if they care enough. I don't know if they don't care enough to comment really. because I keep asking for comments just so I know people are watching or listening. And it's just not motivating when I've been doing this for 7 or 8 years and I've got 300 subscribers. Like, I know my content is shit, and I know it's mostly just me vlogging and talking about my crappy life, but I thought I would be able to do it more in a more, uh, systematic way. Like, my original idea was to just do like a video memoir thing where each chapter was from the beginning of my life to the end or whatever, and just make it like a memoir but on video because I can't write anymore. Like, my writing talent went away after I was like 24 when I had my 8th back surgery. So, I'm just, my goal is to just get enough subscribers and enough viewers that I know, okay, now people will not forget about me completely after I'm dead. Because honestly, after what I've been through and after being told my whole life by doctors and my mom and whatever, you're here for a reason after all this. You have to be here for a reason after all this. You were brought back for a reason. And all that reason has been is me sitting here waiting for permission to go to Walmart or whatever, waiting for my one ride to the doctor every month, and then watching the world go by. That's the only reason I'm here. I'm here so that my mom can have somebody to control and be her personal shrink and her personal scapegoat and emotional punching bag, because that's what I've been since I was born. And I'm here to be the scapegoat dumpster of everybody in the family, and I'm here to be the charity case in the family so that everybody else can have a life, and everybody else left me here with mom so that they could feel comfortable moving across the country and having a life, because at least I'm sitting here with no option to move, even if it's literally killing me to live here. They don't care. I mean, literally when my uncle and my cousins and my sister all moved across the country when my other grandma died, I begged them, please take me with you and just drop me off somewhere in anywhere along the way in a warmish weather state and let me fend for myself there, because I would have a better chance at living some kind of a life than I would if I just sat here, because they all left me here with mom because they knew that she would. I'm like the bait, okay? I'm the bait for the bipolar, crazy, controlling, manipulative, lying, hypocritical person in the family that nobody wants to be around, so they left me here with her so they could all run away while she's messing with me and controlling me and fucking with my life. And they knew that. They fucking knew that. And I have made it clear since they left that this is what's happening. And nobody wants to say anything about it, do anything about it, discuss it, nothing. I wasn't told, I wasn't warned, I wasn't consulted, I wasn't asked, I was just left here with her. And that was after my second heart failure, by the way, or after my first one at least. Definitely after my first one. I think my sister was already living in Texas after my second one, but like my sister's perfectly healthy, by the way. She's a year and a half younger than me. She's had a partying lifestyle for like at least from the time she was 15, 16 until she was like 29. She basically partied the whole time, bar hopping and clubbing, street racing, getting engaged and separated and at least 3 times, getting married and divorced once, having she lived in my dad's house when he moved down south. She took his house. I guess she bought it from them. So she owned a house. She's had like 8 different cars, and now she's married to a millionaire and lives in Texas. And I haven't heard from her since my grandma's funeral. So I'm like, apparently, even though she's the healthy one and she's the one who could physically and mentally and financially handle it, I'm the one who's left here. And my mom has 3 brothers who are all reasonably pretty much perfectly healthy. I mean, one of them has been a smoker his whole life, and the other one is not very healthy. He's got like a beer gut and whatever, but like they're healthier. They're healthy compared to me for sure. Like there are so many other people in the family. There are like 6 other adult cousins of mine that are all perfectly healthy that could be doing something about this. instead of me, instead of the person who's literally died twice of stress, had my heart explode twice from stress, and had to have a machine put in my chest against my DNR form, of course, and keep me existing so that I could be the one that's left here to take care of her so that everybody else in the family can have a life. And honestly, for a long time now, I have felt that if there's a reason I'm here, it's only so that I can be the one who everybody shits on, everybody blames, everybody neglects and abuses, everybody uses as an excuse for everything, and then leaves me here, and I'm here so everybody else can have a life and everybody else can feel comfortable forgetting my mom, their sister, their mom, whatever, and just move on with their lives and live their lives however they want and not have to think about it at all, because they certainly don't think about me at all. I'm lucky if I get 1 or 2 birthday cards a year, 1 or 2 Christmas cards a year. Definitely no presents. I mean, my mom's the kind of person who'll like help me get something that I need, like a $15 or $20 thing, and then later on say that was your present, by the way, or something, months ahead of time. Like, that's the kind of person my mom is. My dad will just send me something computer related, whether I need it or not. Even though I made it pretty clear, like, for Christmas, maybe you could help with my power bill. Maybe you could help me get some groceries or something. But no, he'll just send me, like, one year when I had first moved into my own apartment in a bigger city where I was paying 2.5 times what I'm paying now for a little teeny tiny studio Roach Motel apartment. I was struggling like really bad because I, was living on about $580 a month, and didn't have any support whatsoever. I had to pay for everything out of that, and I was also that's when I started using medical cannabis, so I was paying like 150, $200 a month at that time for that. And at the time, I made it pretty clear I needed support for any presents he wanted to help give. So what my dad does is sends me this Excel program disc, which apparently, because he insists on paying the highest price possible for anything he gets, that like a program, especially a program, because recently he insisted on paying $150 for my Windows 10 that I needed, even though I could have gotten it for like $30 because I knew where to get it online, where they have legal sites you can buy it from for really, really cheap, because I don't know, it's an OEM or something, whatever it's called. But he sent me this Excel program, which was apparently a coding program, which I had no interest in before that or after that. So I don't know why he did, but he said it was like an $80 program. And I'm like, oh, thanks, okay. And then I never used it. And that could have paid my power bill for that month. It was like, so I don't have rational, nurturing parents that support me in the right way and make sure I can survive. I have parents that think it's all my fault if I can't survive, and they're just gonna not, because I'm an adult, and that's the end of it. If I'm an adult, I should be able to take care of myself. But that's not what they say when my sister needs help, or my cousin needs help, or freaking, they were helping my grandma all the time with financially and physically. And my grandma and her husband moved before she died, literally would move every 1.5 or 2 years. They moved to Kentucky, they moved to Florida, they moved back to Kentucky, they moved back to Michigan, they moved all over Michigan. And who do you think helped with that? Everybody in the family who could help, of course. But like when I need to move somewhere, it's like vital for me to move somewhere. Like I really have to move somewhere or I'm not going to make it. Nobody cares. Nobody wants to talk about it. Nobody wants to help. And it's like, I feel like I'm just in some kind of a fucking fever dream all the time. It's like Groundhog Day from hell. And I just don't, I want out. I want out. Like, I don't know if what I have to go through to get out, but this has to stop because I can't, I'm going crazy. I'm going crazy. And I want to get my story out there before I lose it, before I, do something stupid, which people will say all the time. But like, I can't do it anymore. I can't do it anymore. I don't know how much louder I have to say it. And I'm sick and tired of people saying, if you need help, just ask for help. There's always help there. You just gotta ask for help. Oh yeah. Where am I not? How much louder do I have to ask here? Like, ask for help? Just ask for help? I've been begging for help. I've been pleading for help. I've been doing whatever everybody else does to fundraise, and yet I can't get even more than one or two retweets, let alone donations. You know, and plus, it really irritates me that more than half the donations I've ever gotten in the last 6 years of fundraising have been from people who are as bad off as me. Like, why is it that the upper class, the middle class, the people who are way better off than me can't donate, but the people who are almost as bad off as me can? Like, that pisses me off because it always, every fucking day, it gets worse for the poor people. Like, the poor people get, the group of poor people gets bigger, and it gets worse and worse for the poor people, and the poor people have to pay for the other poor people, but it's never about, maybe we should start asking the richer people to start helping a little more instead of expecting, somebody who's living on $800 a month to help somebody who's living on $600 a month. Like, really? I mean, you can't, like, I have like 80%, everybody else in my family is better off than me, but at least 80% of them could toss me $5 to $20 a month and not even notice. Like, I have an aunt and uncle who are both retired, they're still married, they live in the same house. It's actually a condo that they had built in the last 5 years after they retired, and they literally still make, after being retired, over 100,000 a year each. So, like, they have this entire cable internet phone package, and they don't use the phone, they don't use the internet. Sometimes they flip through a few TV channels, but they're usually busy, on their pool, or they go on vacation, or they go see NASCAR races all the time, just whatever upper middle class people do. And yet, I've had to, it's like pulling teeth to get one of them, or to get them to help me out with $50 for Christmas, like once every 2 or 3 years. And I have to, like, it's humiliating. It's like the richer the people are, the more humiliating it is to beg from them, I guess. I don't know why that is, but, like, I've begged everybody in the family before I beg them, because I feel like I don't know if they make me feel like that, but I just, for some reason, feel like a piece of shit when I have to beg the richest people in the family. And then, like, there's also the point where I've already mentioned to my mom and my dad both that if it gets any worse and I'm still forced to exist, or if I were healthier at this point, I'm going to end up having to be like an escort or something, or a prostitute or whatever, because I have no fucking choice. What choice do I fucking have? I've literally done everything apart from trying to sell drugs, which, if I were living in a big city, I'd probably be doing that too. But there's nobody here. This is a small shit town where I don't know anybody who even sells drugs or buys drugs or does anything with drugs. Like, I don't have any friends here. I don't know anybody. And I'd prefer not to. I'm perfectly fine with being alone if I had the freedom that every other adult has right now. If I had the ability to not have to constantly beg and rely on people, I would be fine with being alone. Because I'm that way. Like, I don't ever want to have to be in a relationship just so I can get by. And that's what my mom and my sister expect, because my sister apparently is fine with, sleeping with a dude just so she can get her bar tab paid. She's been doing that for years and she's happy with it. And I don't know, my mom just marries whoever gives her the time of day, because that's what she's always done. She just snags some guy, and then, he can help pay for all the expenses, or pay for them himself sometimes, because there were times when she wasn't doing anything, she wasn't working. But, like, as soon as she gets divorced, as soon as that guy figures out how bad it is and how much he's being used, he leaves, and then she just immediately gets married again, as soon as she can find anybody. And apparently it doesn't matter if they're even remotely wealthy, because she's married some pretty fucking bad off people. But, like, she just wants somebody there to help share the expenses and to, control and manipulate, I guess. But, like, I honestly, I don't have any interest in getting in a relationship. I can't, at this point, I wouldn't trust anybody. I have no, I'm asexual, if I haven't mentioned before. I have no interest in physical relations with anybody at all. I mean, it might just be because of I'm as insecure and um, self-hating about my body as it gets. Like, I could not even remotely see myself taking my clothes off in front of somebody, let alone doing anything else. And it's also probably because of my health problems and all the medicine I'm on and my stress level and just constantly having other shit to worry about. And, but honestly, like, if I could pay all my bills and get enough medicine to be comfortable on, I'd be willing to suck somebody off every week or whatever, if that's what it took. I mean, it makes me want to puke, but what can I do? I'm at that point. And it's pretty bad that even though I'm not a street junkie and I started off being a, happy, mentally stable, and willing to do what it takes citizen to, be a regular citizen or whatever. And it devolved to this point because I was never given any opportunity to just start making my own life. It's devolved to the point where I'm basically as bad off as a street junkie, even though I'm not a street junkie. Street junkies have family who say if they want to get clean, I'll welcome them back home and they can live here and I'll help them with their, school and their bills and their car and whatever. And I have family who won't even go half that far. I have family who just would rather I act like I don't exist and ignore me because it makes them uncomfortable and it messes with their comfortable reality or whatever. I don't have anybody in my family who's even as willing to help me as people who have a junkie addict, family member who steals from them and lies all the time. Like, it's ridiculous. I've seen people who up and sell their house and quit their job and sell and move across the country with their kid just to make sure they have the right doctor. And I'm sitting here like, how many times do I have to die? Third time's the charm, I guess, before, if I'm forced back again. Maybe third time's the charm, and somebody will be willing to do anything to get me in a vehicle or to get me moved to the right state or whatever. But so far, nobody's even made any effort to go towards that. So I don't know what's expected of me. Again, what's expected of me? Nobody can tell me because I've already done everything. I've already tried everything. I've already exhausted all my options. I've already put forth 1,000% effort for the last 12 years to take care of myself. And apparently that was a mistake because what everybody else in my family did was immediately start begging and crying and whining and bitching and moaning and not lifting a finger. And they got help. They got help my cousin, by the way, my youngest cousin on my mom's side, has lost his job twice because he smoked weed, either at work or just before work, and then can't hold a job when he doesn't get fired. He still doesn't hold a job. But his dad just gave him his own car because he got a new one. So my cousin got his dad's old car handed to him. Like, no, he doesn't have to buy it. He doesn't have to lease it. He just gets it handed to him. He was supposed to hold a job to keep the car, but so far he hasn't been. He has had 2 jobs since he got that car. So, like, I'm sitting here watching people do all this stuff, and then I'm told by my family that I'm the one being unrealistic by expecting anything like that in my favor. Like, I can't expect anybody in my family to help me get a vehicle. That's selfish of me. But I sit here and watch everybody else in the family get vehicles left and right, just whatever support they need, even if it's just getting one handed to them, they still get it. And I'm like, what does it take? I'm vastly more responsible financially than my mom, than my sister, than my stepsisters, than half of my aunts and uncles. And as far as I know, most of my cousins, I'm more financially responsible than any of them because I don't go out and get credit cards and max out credit cards and not pay them off and file bankruptcy, or like my grandma did, die with a dozen maxed out credit cards, and I am not exaggerating that. And My mom has already been ordering crap loads of shit from QVC and HSN and Fingerhut, which is what my grandma did for 20 years before she died, and she hasn't even opened it. I went to her place yesterday. I made her open 4 different giant boxes because she hadn't even opened them, and they were from like December and January. And she didn't even know what they were. She had to open them to find out what they were because she buys all this shit and then never opens it. But then she listens to me have literal panic attacks over my power bill that's about to be cut. My power that's about to be cut because I have done everything to pay it or to get money to pay it, and there is nothing else I can do. And instead of helping, instead of making suggestions, instead of, doing what I assume a normal mother would do, she would rather go and spend hundreds of dollars a month on that kind of shit. And on cigarettes, and on going to McDonald's, and going to Goodwill and buying stuff that she swears up and down she's going to resell but still hasn't sold anything. And it's like, I'm in a fucking nightmare, and I just can't do it anymore. And everybody's bad off right now with this virus thing. Everybody's has it bad, I know. But, like, I had it bad before that, and now it's like 100 times worse. Because now I can't even fucking order my medicine, my stomach medicine and my antacids and everything that I need to get online because they jacked the price up massively after this happened. And it keeps going up, by the way. I'm sitting here waiting to get paid in a week and helplessly watching the price of my medicine go up $1 every 2 days. And I can't do anything about it because it's like everything is going up. I can't buy half of the supply toiletries and stuff that I need because that shit's sold out everywhere. It's like as soon as this thing hit the US, everybody went out and just cleared off all the shelves in the stores, and I can't get the stuff I need to eat. I can't get the cat food I need. I can't get anything right now. So I was already severely discomforted and in pain and uncomfortable before this hit. And now I'm like, where the fuck am I going to get rubbing alcohol? Where am I going to get cat food? Where am I going to get toilet paper? Where am I going to get my stomach medicine when I get paid and I can only afford a third of it because the price has gone way up? It's like I can't do this shit anymore. Like, I've been saying that for a long fucking time, but seriously, at some point this is gonna give. At some point something's gonna give. Either my heart's gonna give again, or I'm going to snap and do something, or, hopefully, maybe, if I'm lucky, I'll catch this virus and die relatively quickly so I don't have to go through another a round of medical hell. I mean, honestly, I have a DNR form, so I hope they don't waste their respirators and shit on me because they've already done that twice, and I would appreciate it if they would stop ignoring my fucking DNR form. And seriously, I'm honestly right now at this moment feel like I am in a dream. Everything is just hazy and I'm dizzy and I'm lightheaded and I'm emotional. And I had a dream this morning for the hour and a half that I was able to sleep this morning, and I don't hardly get any sleep anymore. That's probably why I'm so like manic. But like, I don't have hardly any food left either, so my blood sugar is probably dropping. But like, I had a dream this morning that I don't remember where I was. I think I was outside, and something started happening to the air where every time I took a breath, it felt like I was breathing through a wet sponge, and I was like inhaling water a little bit. And it wasn't like it made me cough. It was like it was going straight into my lungs. Like I was inhaling it and it was just going into my lungs and sitting there and filling up my lungs. And that just happened for like 30 seconds. And I started freaking out and woke up because I thought maybe that's how I was breathing when I was sleeping. But I could breathe fine when I woke up, but I was starting to have a panic attack. So like, I'm wondering, what's that supposed to mean? Does that mean I'm going to catch it and die? Because that's what happens. You end up suffocating. Like, that's kind of my biggest nightmare. So I really hope it doesn't. But honestly, I can't keep doing this anymore either. So I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm going to try and get a couple videos done just in case something does happen. Because I have really not been keeping up with it, and I really need to get a lot of shit done before something happens. Either my power gets cut or I get the virus or whatever. I don't know what. But anyway, I hope everybody else is doing okay and not going crazy. I really wish I had somebody to talk to, but if you guys are listening, just comment and let me know. And I'll see if I can possibly get this uploaded on my channel, but I don't know for sure if I can. But I'll talk to you guys later. Peace out.